p.m., we'll be discussing the different deployment methods using Cloud Hub. And at 6:45 p.m., we'll be discussing how to secure your APIs using the API Manager. And at 7:15 p.m., we'll be teaching you troubleshooting skills and endpoint monitoring and analyzer. And at 7:45 p.m., we'll be having a small little game and giveaways. So at 55 p.m., we'll be wrapping the event up. So as for the introduction, my name is Christopher Ko, and I am a consultant for Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs. And I've been in the IT industry for more than 10 years now, and I've been using MuleSoft for nearly 4 years now. Few of my hobbies: I like to listen to good music, I like to eat, and I like to create communities just like this. And another one of our organizers, Ryan, he is a MuleSoft ambassador. Ryan, can you please introduce yourself?
Thanks, Chris. So, hi guys. So, I'm Ryan Andal. So, currently, I'm a senior integration consultant from Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs. So, I'm one of the community moderator, one of the organizer for Manila Meetup, and currently one of the 9 MuleSoft ambassador around the world.
Any hobbies, Ryan? You'd
Ah,
like to share?
during lockdown, probably my favorite hobby now is
Yeah.
like everyone is eating.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Introducing our next organizer is one of Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs superstars, Janos Geronimo. Janos, can you please
Hi
introduce
guys.
yourself?
Yep, sorry. Hi guys. I'm John Geronimo. I'm also from Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs. I share the same sentiments from Ryan and Chris. I think Neil has also agreed to this. That our new hobby, our new favorite hobby, is eating. Yep. Yep.
Seems like it's everybody's hobbies now. And introducing the newest member to the team, Neil Buen. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to have you here. My name is Neil. I'm a Salesforce MVP, and I'm the country lead of the Salesforce community in the Philippines. I just joined this community group like a few months ago, and I'm looking forward to connect our community, the Salesforce community, to the MuleSoft group here in the Philippines.
All right. Thank you, Buen. Thank you, Neil. So before we actually get to the main course of tonight, we have some exciting announcements for you. Many years ago, I actually wished to go to this event, but sadly, I couldn't afford the flight, the expenses there. I think Ryan was able to go to this event. Ryan, can you please share what was your experience with the event Connect?
Yeah. So, uh, Connect is really a nice event. It's one of the biggest event of MuleSoft. So, I was given an opportunity by WhiteSky Labs, and they sent me to Sydney to attend the MuleSoft Connect. And there, I was able to meet other MuleSoft developers, not just in Sydney or in Australia, but other developers from around the world. They went to the MuleSoft Connect, and luckily I was able to share my knowledge with some of the attendees. So I presented as well in the meetup in the Connect during the Connect. So it's really nice experience for me.
Yeah, I hope everybody could attend, right? But guess what? Connect is actually going virtual. So you don't have to travel, you don't have to pay for hotel expenses, you don't have to pay for your meals. You just get to freely sit at home and watch from the comforts of your own home. So if you guys are looking to get inspired, expand your knowledge, and learn new skills, just head on over to connect.mulesoft.com. We actually have 3 events for you. One is for Americas, one is for EMEA, and one is for the Asia Pacific. So just head on over to connect.mulesoft.com. Also, MuleSoft is also providing a free MuleSoft instructor lectures to accompany the self-paced development fundamentals course. So these lectures are going to run from April 13 up until May 29, 2020. So if you guys are just starting out or you guys want to hone your skills with development, just go to training.mulesoft.com/COVID-19-lecture-series. So we'll start the main event, introducing our first speaker. Joyce is currently a senior integration consultant at Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs with applied experience of MuleSoft integration platform. She has more than 8 years of IT experience in software development in payment systems and banking industries. She is one of the rising stars in the integration space. Let's please welcome Joyce Benting. Welcome, Joyce.
Thank you for that generous introduction, Chris. Let me first share my screen.
Yeah, I'll give the control to you.
Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, so
Yep.
let me just start my presentation. Okay, so hi everyone, good evening. My name is Joyce, and I've been with Capgemini WhiteSky Labs for more than a year and a half. So I could say that I'm an expert in using Cloud Hub because we all know that software developers become experts with the help of Stack Overflow and Google. Okay, so kidding aside, a few of my projects have used Cloud Hub and we've found it pretty straightforward and easy to use and maintain. So that's where I really learned to use the tool. So for icebreaker, before we start, I've got a question. So why do people get claustrophobic in Apple stores? Because there are no windows in Apple Store. Okay, that's my last joke. Okay, so let's start. Um, so just a brief outline of our topics for tonight. We'll be talking about what Cloud Hub is and why we use Cloud Hub. We'll also look into a brief overview of the UI so that we'll know the capabilities of Cloud Hub. Then I'll be giving a demo on the ways to deploy in Cloud Hub. Then we'll also have a brief overview on the application maintenance once we have our running applications in Cloud Hub. So first, let's talk about what Cloud Hub is. So it's an integration platform as a service solution. So if you're not familiar with that, this is where you can host your MuleSoft APIs. Cloud Hub provides an easy way to deploy application in the cloud. It also provides a public URL that we can use the moment we successfully start our application. Okay. So why do we want to use Cloud Hub? So first, it's scalable and elastic, meaning it easily gives us the ability to handle a workload increase for the APIs deployed. So scalable means we can easily expand the application, and elastic means we can easily increase or decrease the provisioned resource depending on the requirements change. So this would mean that there wouldn't be unnecessary expense to the API owners if the resources are idle. So Cloud Hub is also multi-tenant. So we can deploy multiple applications, but of course, we can only run a select number of applications depending on our account's subscription with MuleSoft. Deploying with Cloud Hub means that the application is fully managed and fully hosted. So we don't need to think about hardware maintenance and the like. We only need to pay for the hosting service and focus on improving the API in a software point of view only. So you can set the specific location of the server depending on where the users are. This would mean lower latency and faster transactions. So Cloud Hub also promises 99.99% uptime. So even on deploying applications, there's virtually no downtime for the application. So I'll be demoing that later. And Cloud Hub also gives us the capability to easily provide access control to our deployed APIs. So this will be covered by the next topic, but I think we have to highlight that the key feature here is that we can secure our applications. Okay, so moving on to our UI overview. So here's a couple of screenshots. This is the view for our runtime manager. So in red, this is the environment that we're currently viewing, which is the sandbox. So this could be dev, sit, UAT prod, depending on your setup. So here we also see the list of applications deployed, and only one is started. And yeah, a couple of information for the APIs deployed. Okay. So this is the view of our dashboard specific to an API. So in red, this is the provided public URL that we can easily use for testing. So we also have the breakdown of the number of new messages for a certain time. So here for 2110, we see that there are 2 new messages that entered our API. So when there's a high processing that's happening, we can also see an increase in the CPU and memory usage. So this is important so that we'll know if we need to increase the resources used for our application. Okay. So this one is the logs screen. So pretty straightforward. We have the search bar and the deployment history on the right side. So I think we all know how important the logs are if ever we need to investigate something. So this is the settings screen. So in red, this is where you can stop or start the application. You could also do basic updates for the configuration of the API. So we'll go through this in detail later once we run through the application maintenance demo. Okay. So Insight is used for troubleshooting for in-depth visibility into transactions and events. So just take note that enabling Insight can significantly impact data processing and performance and memory consumption. So it's not really recommended to enable it for a long period of time in production environments. But in case you need to investigate something, this might be helpful. Okay. So we also have the screenshot for Object Store. So this one is specific to your deployed API. So take note that other applications can access this directly. If you guys are not familiar with Object Store, this is a sort of a cache where we can store simple key value pairs. Perhaps user information, OAuth, and other information that we need for our application to run properly. Okay. So we also have queues specific to the API. This screenshot means that we currently don't have anything set up for our application. But in case you want to play around with this, feel free to do so. This is available for the free trial account. Okay. So same with schedules. There's nothing set up right now, but yeah, this is the screen. If ever we need to run something scheduled, depending on your requirements, we can use this. All right, now it's time for our demo. Okay, so we're done with our UI overview. So for our first demo, we'll be showing you how to deploy via Anypoint Studio. So the prerequisites for this one is we want to have an application that is to be deployed, and it should be in Anypoint Studio. So you also need an account in Anypoint Platform. Again, whatever we use here is available for the free trial. So you could go ahead and try this one out after the demo. Okay. So this is a simple application that we've made. It's called Directory Manager. So in order to deploy this, we just do the right click, Anypoint Platform, and deploy to Cloud Hub. Okay. So a pop-up will appear. It will ask for your credentials if you haven't logged in yet. But I've already logged in, so it went straight to this screen. Okay. So we just need to enter the application name. So check mark means the name is available for usage. Okay. So runtime version is 4.2.2. That's the configuration of my application. Okay. Then as simple as deploy. All right. So while that's deploying, this is my runtime manager right now. No application is deployed. Okay. So here it is. So let me just give a quick run through for the application. So basically, this is a listener, and once the payload enters, I just add it to an object store. Okay, and then I transform the payload and set it to the properties. Okay. And then I just log whatever was found in the properties. Okay, so for the properties, we'll see this one. By default, my code says that it's local, so it will be available here. API end is local. Okay, and this is the one of the few properties that I've set. So hello from local, PW local. So it's the same here. Hello from sandbox, PW sandbox. So I'll teach you how to use that one later. Okay. So here it's started. Okay, so this one is the URL. Okay, and this one, the citizen/add is configured with my code. Okay, so let me just add the last name, first name, send. Okay, so let's just check the logs. Okay, so this is it, 1831, and the request has entered. Okay, so that's basically it for deploying via Anypoint Studio. Okay, all right. So for the next one, we want to try to deploy via Anypoint Platform. So what we need here is the package application to be deployed and an account in Anypoint Platform. Again, it's available for free trial. Okay. So let's just stop this one because the free trial account can only run one application at a time, but you can deploy multiple applications. So here we just need to go to Runtime Manager, click on Deploy Application, type the application name. Okay, so it doesn't have to be anything special, just pretty descriptive, okay? Runtime version is 4.2.2, and choose file, upload file. Okay, so this is the jar that was created earlier. And for the properties, let's try sandbox environment because this is the environment that we're using. Okay, so if you'll notice earlier, the the code would show local because that's what's in the code. But I've overwritten the properties here. Okay, so it's uploading. So while that's loading, this is a brief run through on how to create the jar file. So simply right click, export, and then Anypoint Studio project to Mule deployable archive. Okay, so file name, file location, and just finish. So that's it. Okay, and then we do the upload. Right. Okay. So yeah, here by default we run the application. If we run it locally, this is the code that it says local, the API end. So we've set the properties to sandbox. So this is what we're expecting. Hello from sandbox and PW sandbox. Okay. All right, so let's just wait for this to start. It's starting the flow now. All right, so started successfully. Let's just get the URL here. Application test up. Okay, 4.2.2, direction manager, sandbox. All right, so it's not yet started earlier. All right, so let's started. Hey, okay, so that's it. Hello from Sandbox and PW Sandbox. Okay, so yeah, that's the response message we also got. Okay, so deploying was pretty straightforward as well. Just needed to have patience from my end because I was pressuring it. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Um, okay. Okay, so for the next one, we have the demo through deploying for Anypoint CLI. So this is through the terminal. So the same as earlier, we need to have the packaged application, the Anypoint platform account, and Anypoint CLI installed. So the documents could be found here in this link, documentation. So it will give you a run through on how to do the installation. All right. So this one is through the terminal. So let me just log in. Okay, so Anypoint CLI, username, and then the environment that we wish to enter to. Okay, so it's sandbox. Okay, let me just try to start a new terminal. Okay. Huh. Okay, it doesn't like copy paste. Let me try typing them. Okay, yeah. So it doesn't like to give me an easy time. Okay, all right. Okay, so here, Anypoint CLI, the command, username, and the environment that we want to deploy to. Okay. So here's the command. Okay, let me just stretch this one. Okay, runtime manager, Cloud Hub application deploy, runtime, and any properties that you want. Okay. So this one, take note that deploy means deploying. So if you want to update, you have to use modify. For the runtime environment, the default is 4.2.2. Sorry, I haven't stopped it yet. Okay. So for this one, the default is 4.2.2, and we can choose to not enter that, but this is for the benefit of those who will be using a different version. Okay, so this property is also optional. We can add multiple properties, so we can do this multiple times. Okay, and this is the application name, and this is the location of the jar file that we're going to upload. Okay. Huh. Okay, so we also have a checking because we can only deploy one application name. Uh, so once it's already used, you need to select a new application name. So the errors are pretty straightforward. Okay, here. Yeah, so this is one are the details. So the domain, you don't really need to log in because it's here. The status would be undeployed at the start and runtime. Properties that you've added, the vCore, yep, and the region. So the region you can also change depending on where the expected clients are. So let's just wait for it to start. And then let's make a request. Okay. All right. So here we have the response and the logs are here. All right. So yeah, this is basically it for the deployment through Anypoint CLI. Okay. Um, so for now, let's talk about the maintenance. Okay. Here, no, sorry. Here's the resources that's needed. So for the commands that was shown earlier, it's fully documented here. And the deploying to Cloud Hub, we also have references for that one. So next, for the maintenance, here's the demo. What we need is the running application in Cloud Hub. So we'll use what we have deployed. Okay. So here, for the settings, the usual things that we change is actually the properties. So instead of the sandbox, let's do design. The configuration for this one was already prepared. And I also like to show you a sample what's this? Mask property, secure property. Okay. So here, we can see that while this one is starting, the one we've just initiated for the update of the configuration, this one is still running. So even if we're doing the deployment, I can still do the sending of the request, and it will use the old running application. Okay. So for the object store, we can also check here the ones that I've uh, added. So here, the key and the value is in binary. So yeah, we can't see the whatever we have sent in plain text, but it will be available once we get the value from our application, just not visible in plain sight. Okay. So here for the settings, you'll notice that this one is now asterisk in asterisk. So we can't really know what I've added there. Okay. This is because we've added the secure properties in mule artifact.json. So this is part of the code. So any property that's named here would be masked once we hit the save button. Okay. All right, so this one is designed. Let's just wait for our application to start. It has started successfully. Okay, let's try to. So hello from design, and the password has also changed. So this has also overridden even the one that was in our code. So in case you have some config changes but don't want to touch the code, we can update it via the properties in Cloud Hub. Okay. So yeah, that's basically it for our demo. I hope you've learned new things. Are there, I think we still have time for 2 to 3 questions. Do you have questions?
Hi, Joyce. We have some questions in the chat box.
Oh, okay. Where the messages will be stored, BL, be stored placed in Cloud Hub queues. So for this one, the queues here would be specific to the application. So in case you need something, a queue for your application. But if you need to have a queue for multiple applications, for example, API A would send it to a queue, then API B would read it, you would need an external MQ for that one. So that would be a different topic. Okay. So is it advisable to use the export jar than deploying using the Anypoint Studio itself? So it actually depends on what you need, right? Sometimes, as a developer, if you just want to test, it's actually quite easier to deploy via the studio itself. But if you need to send it to other people or use CI/CD, if you need to upload it, then we need to export it to a jar. Okay. So let me just choose one last question from here. We have a couple. Um, is it better to enter the task? Workers. So I guess this one is new, the worker and worker size. So this one is used for the processing power. So for example, your application would process 1,000 requests per minute, 1,000. Okay, so I think that would mean that processing power would be required for your application. And you would need to increase workers and worker size. So, but the tweak there is it would also cost more because depending on your subscription with MuleSoft, you only have a specified worker or worker size that's available for your multiple applications. So your applications would have to share that one. Okay, so is there a way I can use CloudHub with multiple workers? Um, I'm not sure if we can use this using trial account, but this is possible with paid subscription. Okay. Maybe I mean, should we choose not to persist them? It actually depends on your design. So when we use code for object store and VM in Anypoint Studio, should we choose not to persist them? This depends on your design, on why you need to persist. So, because if it's only caching um, for temporary purposes, I think we can use object store. But if it's actually data, uh, using database would still be needed. All right. So yeah, that's it for my presentation. Let me give the floor back to Chris.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for the fantastic presentation. So let me share my screen again. All right, so can you guys see my screen? All right, so we'll be having a short 5-minute break. And in line with the quiz that I've mentioned earlier, please sign up for an account at quizizz.com. So that is QUIZZ.com. So we need to sign up for that account so that we can actually answer the quiz and you get a chance to win 3 training vouchers from MuleSoft. So is everybody done with signing up for an account? Type yes in the chat box. Yes, 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 yep, yes. From Harry. Yes, from camera. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. All right. So let me share my screen again.
Hi, Chris. This is Soumya. I have signed up for the quiz, but somehow I am not able to reply into this chat.
Sorry.
I'm not able to reply into this chat. I don't have
Okay.
option
No,
to
no
send.
worries. If you have signed up, that's fine.
Okay.
So as for our next speaker, Ron is currently a senior integration consultant at Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs with applied experience on MuleSoft integration platform. He has more than 12 years of IT experience in software development. His hobbies involve building Gundams and playing basketball. He is a loyal and loving husband and a father. Welcome to Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs Rockstar Consultants, Ron Jacob. Welcome, my man.
Hi everyone, thanks Chris for that truthful and honest introduction from you. So let me get the
Yeah, I'll let you take over.
yep, let me get the control from you. Okay, so guys, give me a thumbs up once you see my screen. Okay. Anyone? Can you see my screen now? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, thanks guys. So let's go with my slides. So to start my presentation, I'll tell you guys a story. So once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a knight from Mapua that upon graduating from that prestigious institution, began a career in IT. He was working for 10 years, being involved in different projects for banking, airlines, insurance, voice, and utilities, before setting his hands on developing APIs using MuleSoft. So before, he was doing a lot of coding just to meet the security requirements of his clients, not to mention accommodating the ever-changing minds of them. Also, he has used logging as a means of monitoring and analyzing traffic in his APIs, which some of you could imagine, a time-consuming task and a real pain for our surname. So now, after discovering MuleSoft, he was able to negate that hard stuff he was doing. He was able to negate that pain. He was able to present security solutions and governance on his APIs to his clients. And that night in the story is yours truly. So I'm Ron Jacob. I've been working in IT industry for 12 years now, 2 years using MuleSoft, developing APIs. And today I will show you how I bring security and governance to my APIs through API Manager. So I know that today's topic may bring a number of questions from you guys, but kindly hold on to your questions till the end of the presentation. So I prepared a list of topics that I'll be discussing today. First one, I'll discuss API Manager. Second one, I'll discuss API Manager's administrator view. Third, I will discuss API dashboard, its view and navigation, and I will demonstrating some policies, how to add them to our APIs, client ID enforcement, IPA whitelisting, rate limiting, SLA based, and I'm showing you the view of the analytics, and will answer the question, I'm a Mule developer, how is it useful to me? Next slide. API Manager. So by definition, API Manager is a component of Anypoint Platform for managing APIs. API Manager ensures that an API is secure and governed. So I prepared an analogy for that one. Let's say this castle is your API, and this knight want to request to your castle or wants to attack your castle. So how can we prevent this from happening? So what medieval people usually do is they set up a gate or a wall in this key position. So having this gateway in between the castle, the API, and the request coming in gives your API access to precode its solutions to address the most common to complex interactions to your API. Think of it this way. So instead of you calling the API directly, it will call this gateway, and the gateway will call your API. Going on to the next slide. So how can we navigate to the API Manager? Navigation to the API manager is accessible through the main menu on the left-hand screen in the UI. So if you guys don't see this API manager menu, maybe you don't have access to it. So you have to ask for from your Anypoint administrator for you to have permission to access this menu. Let's go to the API manager's administrator view. So here, the first one, we can select our environment. So here in the screen, Sandbox is selected. So it can be QA, test, dev, prod, MO, pre-prod, depending on how your environment has been set up. Here as well, you can see the API administration view where you can see the API name, the version, the status, the client applications, and the creation date. You can also create automated policies here. So if you add policies on this page, and then you add an API to manage, it will be automatically be added to your API. You can also see the list of the client apps here by clicking the client applications menu. You can also add custom policies here. Note for this one that you can only add policies from 3.9 and below. And also, upon clicking this analytics menu, you can view analytics which provide you insights on how your API is being used and how they are performing via charts and graphs. Moving on, let's go to the API Manager dashboard. So here you can set alerts. Upon clicking this menu, yeah, several fields will be presented to you. You can add your email there, kind of alert, and some fields we'll view it later during my demo. For contracts, you can view existing contracts here as well. You can approve, reject, or delete. And then you can implement security and governance via this policies menu. You can also manage SLA tiers by clicking the SLA tiers menu, and you can manage the settings or view the settings via the settings menu here. So let's take a look at the settings menu. So from the settings menu, you can see that the JSON placeholder API has a status of active, an API management version of 2.0, an asset version of 2.0.0, and of API type RAML. And you can also see the auto discovery value. So auto discovery is in MuleSoft paradigm is a mechanism to manage an API from API. Yeah. Sorry guys. Kindly mute yourself. Okay. Okay. I'll move on, guys. Kindly mute yourself first, guys. I'll entertain questions later on after my presentation. So, like I said, auto discovery is a mechanism to manage APIs by pairing the deployed application to this ID created on the platform, regardless how it was deployed. So I'll be showing this one as well later on. On to our demo. So here are a list of our prerequisites. We need an account in Anypoint Platform. So during my demo, I'll be showing you an account, a training account I've created, which has already access to API Manager and Analytics. Number 2, account has managed policies permissions. So if you don't have that, if it's a training account, it's readily be available to you. And application deployed in Runtime Manager with API Discovery. Okay, let's move on to our demo. So first one, I'm gonna show you, like I promised a while ago, the alerts. So here you can add the alerts as well as the recipients, your email, the name, and the alert type. So I will not go into the detail for that one, but you can try that one out later after. So for the policies, we'll be tackling about the client enforcement, client ID enforcement. So think of it this way. So I prepared a client ID enforcement just for the sake of this presentation. But if you want to apply a new policy, you just need to add that apply new policy, and you just select the client enforcement here. Select the latest one, configure policy. Here, you will be presented several options where you can add the client header and client secret, or to apply it to certain um, resources that are available. So for this one, I have set up this policy to have the client ID be in the castle ID headers and the client secret in the castle secret header. And as a resource matching, it will be only available to this API/demo gate. So let's enable this policy. It will take some time, but I'll go through my demonstration about the API auto discovery. Remember that in the settings menu, we have this API ID. So in order to map this one to your API, you have to add this global element API auto discovery and add that API ID here. Okay. Since this is already green, it means that I already successfully mapped it to the API in the runtime manager. So if we go to the runtime manager, this is it. And you can see that the applied policy, the one I enabled a while ago, has already been applied. Okay. So if I send a request with client enforcement, this should have an error because I haven't requested an access for it. See, it's authentication denied. So in order to gain access to that one, we need to go to Exchange, click on Request Access, select your application. My application would be people, then Request Access. So as you can see here, the client ID and client secret will be the same as the client ID, which is mapped to castle ID, and the castle secret here. So if I press send, I should be able to enter the key. Moving on to our next policy that I will be demonstrating. I'll just need to disable this one for the sake of for us to see how it behaves when we do disable a policy. And then for IP whitelist, I'll enable this one. So while waiting for that one, if you want to add an IP whitelist, we just need to click apply new policy and click on apply whitelist, click this one. So it doesn't allow me to since I already have one created. But you will have fields there to show what are the sets of IPs that are being whitelisted. So if I check what is my IP address here, 163.2.1, it's there. So let's go to runtime manager to check if it has been deployed. See, I've unapplied my client ID enforcement. Let's check. Going back to my previous screen just to see that I've enabled it. Okay, I've enabled it. Let's do a whitelist demo. Here, I have this IP address. So I was able to enter the kingdom. But if I set this to a IP address that is not part of my configuration, I will have this error. Moving on to our last policy that I will showing you. Let's disable this one. Again, let's add a new policy for rate limiting SLA based. So let's click this one. So I will have an error upon adding this one. The reason is because I don't have any SLA tiers available. See, there's no SLA tiers defined. So let's create an SLA tiers. So think of it like in your castle, there are two groups of people: the kings, the king's knights, and the king's guard, and the commoners. So let's just add commoner or king's guard. That number of requests as 410 because they can request for more than the commoners. King's guard for 10 requests per minute. Let's add that and let's set it as manual so we can see the difference. So if we add another SLA tier as commoner, and the approval will be automatic. Number of requests will be 5 because it's limited per minute. Now we can add our policy. Going back here, rate limiting SLA based. Let's use the most latest version. Here, I'll be presented by this one. I need to go to my notes and copy so that I don't have to type puzzle ID, puzzle secret, and I'll be only be applying that to this resource. So we want to click the expose header so I can show you what it look like as well. So it will be get method and the URI is this one. So let's click apply. So while waiting, we need to have access since it's already have a policy as rate limiting SLA based. So we have to go to Exchange again to request that policy. Okay. Sorry. This one, request access, example. This one, the King's Guard. Have this one. Click request access. It shows me that it is pending since for the SLA tier King's Guard it will be manual approval. As for the commoner, go here, go to commoner, select commoner, it will just show you this page. So if we go back, we go to the contracts. As mentioned a while ago, this is where we can approve, reject, or delete existing contracts. For King's Guards, let's click approve. Okay. Let's go back to the runtime manager again to see if it has been deployed. Let's go to runtime manager. While waiting for that one, like the analogy I mentioned a while ago, we have a commoner and King's Guard. So King's Guard have 10 requests and the commoner only have 5 requests. Let's check into the logs. Here, you can see the rate limiting SLA based has been applied. So if we check our API, the commoner, if I didn't set any client ID and client secret, it will have this error. If I put in the castle ID and castle secret for the commoner, it will be successful, and as part of the header, you can see I still have 4 remaining. So 4, 3, 2, 1, and the last call will throw an error. 429, too many requests. Going to our King's Guard a while ago, which has 10. So if we send the request, let's go to the headers. Oops. let me check, guys. I think I don't have the castle ID and castle secret. That's why it's throwing an error. So I have to check it. So it will pass through. So I still have 9 requests remaining. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the next one will be error. 429, too many requests. Okay, the last part of my demonstration would be the analytics section. So you can also view this one in the admin page, but let's take the shortcut. So this will be, this page contains graphs that we can use to check the number of requests that has come in the past 1 hour or so. There are also lots of configurations that we could modify, for us to be enabled to extract information on how our API is currently doing. So it's taking time to load. Let's be patient for this one. So while waiting, let me just check the chat boxes to start off with our Q&A section because it's taking long. You can do a refresh. Okay. Okay, here. Let's just select 1 hour. As you can see here, for the past 1 hour, I've been throwing requests to this API, and all are coming from the Philippines. Okay, guys. So let's move on to the next slide. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. So to answer the question a while ago, I'm a Mule developer. How is it useful to me? So with just few simple steps, I can secure APIs with policies, manage client access, group API as products, and monitor and analyze traffic, no matter where my APIs and microservices are hosted and which technologies they run on. I can manage them all from one place. Next slide. So for the resources, for deep dive for the other policies that are not covered here, you can look onto this link, API Manager. And for the images I've used from this presentation, I got it all from here. So for Q&A, let me just stop sharing and look onto your chat box. Seeing some questions here. As from Mav Paradeza, is it possible to change the error message tied to the policy? Let's say change the error IP whitelisting policy response to a generic response for security purposes. So the policies that are in Anypoint in the API manager are predefined. So those error, if you really want or if you're really keen on to, I think you need another proxy to support that one. But as for your question, those are predefined. So it's the API manager default error message that comes out. So next one is from Austin Kim. When Viaje question, how does Anypoint manager behave if I have two policies enforced and both of them have errors? So it depends on the priority. So if you go back to the Anypoint dashboard, whatever is on top has the highest priority. So if there's an error during policy IP whitelisting and client enforcement is on top, then the error will come from the client enforcement. So, Akwib, Javed, can we set alerts on trial accounts? Yes, I think Rajneet Kumar already answered that. For Marv, from Diane, Ristel, if I have a policy in place and I try to add the same policy in the admin view level, what will be the outcome? So if you have a policy in place and you try to add in the admin view, there will be error message that will be popping up that tells you that there's a conflict. On the other hand, if you have a policy existing in the admin view and try to add that same policy in the dashboard, the system will not allow you to. The version will be grayed out. Yeah, I think that covers my presentation, Chris. So before I end it, I just wanted to give a shout out to my friends that are in here, Guards, Greg, Yue, and Jean, which are my project mates as well. Thanks, Chris.
Right. Thank you for that terrific presentation, Ron. Let me just share my screen once again. Hope you guys are still awake. So yeah, again, just a reminder, this session is recorded. So if you guys have any issues, just let us know. Again, if you have not yet signed up for an account in Quizzes, please sign up now. You get a chance to win one of the three training vouchers provided by MuleSoft. And guess what? We have a special surprise for you guys. Thanks to our sponsor, Ray, for this generous offer. So he's giving away $35 of Amazon Web Services credits. So, Ryan? Ryan, are you there?
Yes, Chris. So let me share my screen.
Sure. I'll stop presenting.
So I want to thank again Reynold Larissa for this generous offer. So what will I do now? So let me share my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
All right, so give me a second. Let me just get all the names of all attendees that we have. So I'll copy this and I'll put it in the random picker. So whoever, so just give me a second. So are you ready, guys? Are you ready? Type yes. All right. Who will win that 25 Amazon credit? So let's begin. So I'll click it now. And the winner is Angela Belicena. So we will get in touch to you to claim your prize. So back to you, Chris.
Thank you. Congrats to Angelina. Let me show my screen. Mhm. Hope you guys are awake. So we had our surprise is not ending here. We're giving away 3 vouchers later tonight after all the presentations. So for our next speaker, Mike is currently a senior integration consultant at Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs with applied experience of MuleSoft integration platform. He has more than 13 years of IT experience in software development. His hobbies are basketball, console gaming, and table tennis. Let's please welcome Capgemini and WhiteSky Labs superstar consultant, Mike Figueroa. Welcome, Mike.
Yes, thank you for the overwhelming introduction, Chris. Right.
You're a superstar, man.
Thank you. I hope I will be able to deliver the next topic to the best of my abilities. But before we do that, let's have a short break, and I invite everyone to just stand up from where you are and maybe just roll your shoulders. Let's do it for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think we're good. So let me just get up my presentation. But before that, let me share my screen. Okay. Please type yes if you're already able to see it. Right. Thank you for the confirmation. So let me just start on this one. Okay. For our topic today, we'll be talking about endpoint monitoring and analyzer. Right. So this would be our key topics for the succeeding 30 minutes. We'll be talking about endpoint monitoring, the background, key area capabilities, the requirements. We'll be talking about the features and demo and the outcomes, the key outcomes for Anypoint monitoring. And for Anypoint visualizer, the second half of our presentation, we would cover the overview, the features, requirements, and demo. But the last three topics will be condensed in a single slide. And don't worry, we'll show you the demo for it to be more meaningful to us. Okay, so let's begin. Anypoint monitoring. So as a background, before we start, are we all familiar with this term, the API-led connectivity approach? Have you seen this diagram, guys? Okay. Can I get a yes from everyone? Okay, so the API, let me see if there are yeses. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's continue the presentation. So for the past 2 years or plus, MuleSoft has been advocating the API-led connectivity approach. Okay, so this is a way of answering our integration requirements with a design, an API-led connectivity approach design, wherein we're going to break it down in layers, or APIs, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to be discussing that in detail, but you can see the layers there. It's the experience APIs, the process APIs, and the system APIs. And then for the past years, there's also the Center for Enablement, right? Now, 2 years down the road since this concept was introduced, we are now seeing that the API-led connectivity approach has become a well-known and somehow mainstream, which led us to this, to an application network. So now our APIs are not only layer or following the API-led connectivity approach, we are now developing application networks. So these are your APIs, and for this networks, it is resilient to change. You can just change one part of it and not affect the others, right? And in view to that, okay, more APIs usually means more complex transactions, right? So anyone, we can, if we would want to guess what type of transaction this is, maybe what is the first thing that comes to mind? Okay, so eventually we might come down to the conclusion that this might be somehow involved in a shopping cart application or an e-commerce site wherein you're doing a web transaction, and for that web transaction you have your accounts, you have your orders, right? You have different components working together. So a single web or mobile transaction now crosses an average of 35 different technology systems or components. Okay, and what does that do is that more APIs lead to complexity, and it also leads to, this is also true for in terms of maintenance and monitoring. So first is that more APIs means more gaps in observability, right? So there might be a few things on how we can connect these APIs. Okay, how can we observe the flow of our applications and the data and maybe the performance? And then it also introduces to us the increased time to issue, identification, and resolution. Now, if there is an issue encountered in your application, we would now need to search different components of your API or your application. And maybe in this example, the error happened in your products, which is in SAP, right? So before you get to know that, you need to browse through this, okay? And that would lead to poor customer experience, because if there is an issue encountered in production, if it would take us some time for us developers or L3s to determine what is the root cause, then it would mean more waiting time for our customer. And imagine if this is for an order and if it is deemed as urgent by your customer, right? And that would ultimately lead to lost revenue. I guess for every business represented here, this is one thing that we do not want to happen. So what is now the answer from MuleSoft? How does MuleSoft help us in terms of maintenance and monitoring? Okay, so that is where Anypoint monitoring comes in, and it has key area capabilities. One is end-to-end transaction tracing. Basically, what we're saying here is that we are now able to identify the health of our every consecutive component within an application and in another network, and we can diagnose and prescribe solutions to broken components with these. So we are now able to pinpoint which one is it that's causing this issue. Next, Anypoint monitoring also has this distributed log management and search. It is allowing us to search raw logs and event data from across our application networks so that we can be able to pinpoint the root cause of a problem. So specifically to the error level that we have. Next, we have enterprise alerting. So if you want to track trends and create alerts for abnormal behavior or problems in our application network, we are now able to do so. This also enables us to have, say, a proactive approach in our application. We can create alerts like warning or info and critical. So depending on the severity and what is relevant to your business. And lastly, we have advanced data analysis. Now we can leverage templated dashboards, or you can customize your own so that it would provide instant visibility into your application's performance. And we can now make a detailed analysis of our network. All right. Now, knowing these things, what are the requirements? Of course, first and foremost, we would need to have our license. Okay, so these are the licenses, the tiers of the license that we have for MuleSoft. See in the base license what is already available. These are some of the features that we will discuss later on. Okay, but look at the titanium one and the data storage, the retention, the distributed logs, and the query builders. Even the SLAs are so much different. Okay, so now let's go to the features as we seen before. Okay, so now we're going to look at the features of the Anypoint platform Anypoint monitoring in Anypoint platform. Let me just open up my Anypoint platform here. It's not shown in the screen. Let me log in. Wait a second. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go at Okay, so now I'm able to log into my Anypoint platform, and we're going to go into Anypoint monitoring. Okay, so the first thing to look at here is essentially how do we enable it, right? So this is also part of the requirements. So if you click on Anypoint monitoring, okay, it's loading, it's wait a while. The first thing that you need to do is to click on the settings, and there you would see which are the environments available to you, and even for the solutions that you already have. So here you can see the Cloud Hub, and you can see the environments, and you can see per API. If you are in a hybrid solution, okay, meaning your control plane is in the cloud and your runtime plane is on-prem, so there are steps for you to guide into it, and essentially in Runtime Fabric, it is already available. Okay, now let's go to our first feature, which is the dashboards. Okay, so this is our dashboards. Basically, these are graphs wherein there are already readily available metrics for us. Okay, so you can choose your environment. Okay, you can even choose your business group, right? And then I'm going to look at a specific API, let's say this one. And then you can choose an instance of your API. Okay, so now we are able to see, it's now loading the overview dashboard. Okay, so let's just wait for it. So if you can see, there are already available metrics for you. You could see your request volume. Okay, you could see your failed requests. You could see your average runtime response. And if you want to break down into that one, if you want to look at our requests, what are the available metrics for it? You can see there's the data retention for 1 hour. You could see your API paths, how many were requested for your APIs. Okay, see the request by methods. You could see your request by your response code. So what are the response codes that you have? Okay, at some point in time. Okay, you could see filter the requests by request size, by response size. If we want to focus on failures, there's a tab for us. Right, so you can see the number of failures. Okay, some of the metrics have not yet loaded. Right, and there's also performance. Okay, so we are able to see our average response time, the minimum or the fastest, and the what it took us the longest. Okay, so the metrics that you see here would depend on the type of API, if it is a hybrid app or an API itself, and what are available. So another thing that is available to us is the dashboards, and then where it's available, the metrics are available to us. Sorry, the event-driven alerts. Okay, let me get that back up again. So this is the alerts. So see, we could add alerts. Okay, and we have an existing alert. If you want to look at what this alert is all about, you just click on it. You could have your custom dashboard. See here, we are now able to show the average failure request count alert. And if, okay, we can see here our threshold. If it is being hit, what are the points in time that it was, that it triggered our alert. Okay, so Here is our condition when the inbound or the average request count by endpoint is above 37. Okay. All right. So that's it. And then we also have a logging system. So apart from your runtime manager, there's also a distributed logging system that is available for us. Let me just bring that up again. Okay, and for this log management, it is necessary that you have a Titanium subscription. So this part might not load in this. Okay, so see, it's searching. Okay, but if you are on Titanium subscription, this is available for you. So you know need to set up your separate EFK and the log aggregate management tools, usually the EFK or ELK stack in your Splunks, right? Okay. So for our next feature, we have data storage and retention. If you seen the previous slide, it talked about that one. So for the base license, we have 100 MB per app. For the Platinum, it's the same. For the Titanium, we have hyperscale or 200 gigabytes per core. For the retention, you have standard 30 days for the base and the Platinum, but it is self-prescribed or the option to describe it yourself in the Titanium license. Okay. And then let's go back. So we have our raw data download. Okay, sorry about that one. The raw data download is also only available in uh, in the Titanium subscription. Okay, here. And so you are now able to export. Okay, okay, and then you can download it right here. All right, and then I think I advanced this one. The other, okay, the tools for monitoring. So Anypoint monitoring exposes some functionality for your APIs if you would want to interact to it. So basically, if we go back here, you can see the tools. So if you're familiar with Anypoint Exchange, there are connectors that are available to you. So you could see here, there are source connectors. Okay, if you want to respond to Anypoint monitoring alert in Mule 3, in Mule 4, if you want to tokenize, okay, log tokenization, that's also available for both Mule 3 and Mule 4. If you want to interact, if you have a ServiceNow account, if it is part of your stack, if you want to create e-tickets and incidents in Salesforce, if you want to create tickets in your Salesforce service account, in Jira, I believe all of us are almost familiar here. Sorry, excuse me. And then Zendesk. Now, if you want to have some push notifications, alert is, sorry, Slack. The Slack connector is also available, readily available for us. So that's it for tools for monitoring. And lastly, we have the API functional monitoring. Basically, this just allows us to create our own monitor so that we are able to determine the performance of an API of its response to requests that are sent to the resources at its endpoints. So if you want to deep dive, the guide for creating a functional monitor is readily available in the MuleSoft website. So now that we know all these features, what are the key outcomes now? Well, knowing all these things, we would now have an integrated visibility and observability, which enables data-driven decision making. So now we need not do uh, the hold up or the say uh, guesstimates on what is happening with our performance. We have data to back up our solutions and to back up our drives on the angles that we look for whenever we monitor. Okay. So if you would want to scale, there are now data and monitoring that is available to you. Okay, and then second one is we reduce the mean time to resolution. So meaning if and when your APIs encounter errors, you are now able to determine it in a faster time, which means we are being able to respond to our customers faster and less impact on the resolution of issues. And lastly, we would have increased uptime. We would be able to prevent issues before they happen because now you are able to have your alerts. Now you are able to see the data and have advanced analytics and see if it is time for you to maybe do a scaling of your APIs. All right, let's go now to our next topic. Our last topic for tonight is Anypoint Analyzer. So, what is Anypoint Analyzer? Uh, do you want to see this type of diagram, an architecture diagram of your existing APIs? Right? So basically, that is what Anypoint Visualizer is. It automatically organizes our APIs and integration applications deployed using the Mule runtime into a comprehensive diagram of how they are connected. So basically, any environment in your Mule runtime, you are able to see these type of diagrams. So you can see your API-led connectivity approach layers, okay? And you're able to see the external traffic. So knowing what is the value of this, knowing this, right? So what is it now to us if we know this diagram? Well, there's a value added here in terms of root cause analysis because now visually you can trace your applications where it fails in your application network, and we'll show that later. Second, we would now have a dependency mapping, so you are now able to see which APIs depend on which, okay? Right? So you are now able to map all dependent components in real time as you organize your application network. And lastly, you would now be able to, it has an added benefit in architectural alignment. You are now able to review your system architecture throughout your development lifecycle. Okay, so now you can be sure if the developers understand what the defined architecture is and what is your data governance practices. Okay, so what are our features? Okay, so let's run down the features first before I proceed with the demo. So first, there are permissions. So here are the requirements. You would need access to the visualizer, and ARM permissions are also enforced. And then if you would want to customize to enable visualizer per API, you are now able to do so. You just put the application property anypoint that platform that config that visualizer that agent enable to true or false if you want it to be seen or not seen in Anypoint Visualizer. You are also able, later on, we will be able to see that we can select our business group and our environment selector, just like in Runtime Manager. And then as shown in the earlier diagram, you have your layers, the API-led connectivity layers. Okay, you can customize your layers. You can have your API classification through the UI, or you could add your properties to it. You can reposition your APIs. You can collapse. Okay, you can rename your nodes, basically. Update your edge texts. And then Anypoint, this is one thing that Anypoint Visualizer is also what added value to us. It would be able to show your persistent connections, HTTP endpoints that you are connected to. Okay, later on we'll see that in our demo. And lastly, we would be able to see node collapsing by client ID. So you can see here your API, say your API manager policies are also visible in the visualizer. It updates automatically. So if you deploy a new application, no need to change it. The visualizer would be able to get that. And then it automatically adjusts your API. Okay. So let's go now. Let's go back again. Let me just prepare the visualizer. Okay. Okay, it's just loading. Let's give it a little time. For a while, I'm having a slowdown. Okay, let me just reload this. So let me get back on before we wait. So while we were waiting, let's see if we have some questions that we can already answer. Still not being loaded. Okay, so let me see our chat box. Okay. All right. So I see there are some questions here. So what's the difference between web service and API? Basically, is just terminologies, right? Uh, can we call Vishesh? There's a question here. Can we call system APIs from experience APIs? I think now one is preventing you to do that. Yes, you can do that, but MuleSoft prescribes that if it is possible, that you use your process APIs. But yeah, basically you can do that. So what is the runtime fabric environment? Basically, it's a new product for MuleSoft wherein you will be able to uh, it has Kubernetes and Docker on it. I see Ray already has an answer to that. Basically, it mimics the behavior of your Cloud Hub solution, the pure cloud solution, wherein there's zero downtime, but in an on-prem setting. So what we're saying here is that um, we can you are now able to take control of the pods and basically have a cloud like setup. Okay, yeah, I'm having problems loading my Anypoint visualizer. So for now, I guess I'll give back the control to Chris, and as soon as this loads, we can go back to our um, demo. Okay.
All right, sure. Let us know, Mike, if it's already. But for now, let me just share my own screen. Mhm. Sent now. So while Mike is waiting for the visualizer to come up, let's have picture time. So I request everybody to open up their cameras, and we'll get a screenshot.
Chris, after the picture, the visualizer is loaded, we can resume.
Okay, sure. So please open up your cameras. Anyone? Don't be shy. Mhm. I guess. Is there anybody that opened up their camera already? No? All right. Anyways, I guess we can proceed to the next one. Mike, I'll let you take control.
All right. Thanks, Chris. So I'll be presenting my screen again.
Hey
Okay.
Mike. Hey Mike, just a quick one. So for some reason I can't type in any question in chat box. So if we're integrated with Splunk, and to be able to do that, we have to disable the Cloud Hub logs. So is it possible that we could still use Anypoint monitoring with that disabled?
Um, I guess we can still, as long as any point monitoring is still available to you. Okay.
But
But
where it's
if the logs is not available, because logs is just lagging, right? Are you in a on-prem? Are you on a hybrid or a pure cloud
no,
subscription?
we're using Cloud Hub.
Okay. So if you're using Cloud Hub, I guess as long as you could enable endpoint monitoring, you could also enable visualizer. Now, I guess the caveat here is that there might be some issue for you if you want to trace via the logs. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because if the logs are disabled, like how where it's gonna pull out those data, right?
Yes, actually for the data, Anypoint monitoring and visualizer sends your data on the background. But the problem here is that if it comes to the time wherein you want to view your logs from your visualizer, I think that would not be available to you.
All right. Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. So let me go back now to the presentation and the demo.
Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Joy.
Yep, all good. Thanks.
Mike, you're on mute.
Sorry about that one. I was speaking for the past 5 minutes. Okay, so let me go back again. As you can see here, we are now able to see our existing architecture for a ticket that we for a system that we have. All right, you have your layers here, you have your external traffic. So this shows us the architecture. It shows us the process APIs or system APIs, and as mentioned earlier, it is able to show you your persistent connections. Okay, and then an additional to it, sorry about that. If you want to look at the policies, as I mentioned, there are policies. You can also view the policies that we have that is already existing. Just, okay. You could have your policies here. If you can see, there's one policy implemented. Okay, so if you have different policies for your APIs, that would all show here. And then for the troubleshooting, you could see here the metrics, your average response time for your APIs. See the number of seconds in milliseconds. Also, you have your average throughput. So the value that we have maybe is what is the average CPU utilization for the past 24 hours. Okay, so you can choose your time range. So it's having trouble loading that one. Average memory utilization, that's also available to you. And I guess our interest here is on the, if currently you are experiencing a problem, you are now able to look at which APIs are having problems by clicking on the failure rate. And see here, these are metrics that are available in your Anypoint monitoring. So Visualizer automatically connects your monitoring. If you would want, you could click on a specific API, and then you would be able to see available metrics immediately. You have your failure count, you have your request count. Now you can click here to go to Anypoint monitoring and view the dashboard. You can click here and go into the logs. So if you want to view the dashboard again, it will open up Anypoint monitoring. Okay, so it takes a while to load. So you see there's a different metrics that are available to you, different from the one I showed earlier, right? So you are now able to see these metrics, the inbound, the mule messages. Okay, if you want to focus on specific metrics, maybe on the inbound, what are the endpoints that are being exposed. Okay, so you can see here, this is the endpoints exposed, right? The total number of requests. What are the outbound endpoints, the integration endpoints that you have for this API? Okay, just a caveat here. There is a difference with the metrics depending on the type of API that you are viewing, whether it's an API, a hybrid app, or an API, and then also the type of solution that you have, if you are on pure cloud hub or if you have an on-prem or a hybrid solution. Okay, so that's still the inbound. The outbound is not available. Okay, but these are available to you. Okay, so that's it for our demo. And I'll be stopping sharing my screen now. And that would be it for me. Guess we answered some of the few questions. I'll give back the presentation control to Chris.
Sorry, Mike, can I ask again about the visualizer? So this is Joy from Datacom New Zealand. So I haven't got a chance to explore the visualizer yet, but I'm just curious, like how you would categorize if it's a process or a system API there. Are you using some kind of tags?
Yes, as I've mentioned earlier, you are able to create tags for your APIs and control it via your properties.
Oh, okay, right.
So if you tag an API, and also you can just Anypoint Visualizer would detect your tags, and then if you
Mhm.
want to say change an API layer, you can change it on the fly on the UI itself also. So basically, it's a combination of both. You can do it initially via the tags in your application. And another thing is once it's loaded, you can reorganize it there in the visualizer itself.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. 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 So I'm passing now the presentation back to Chris. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for that knowledge-packed presentation. So we're in the most exciting part of the evening. We'll be playing a quiz, a game. So everybody has registered in quizzes.com. So this is the code, the quiz code. I'll share it with you guys. I'll hand it over to our game master, Janos Heronimo. Are you there?
Thanks. Yep. Hey, Chris, can you hear me? I opted out to close
Yep,
the
yep.
camera since because of my bandwidth, but I'll probably share my screen.
Sure. Yep, I'll stop presenting and I'll hand over the presentation to you.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Chris. Can you see my screen, guys? Probably back and forth in the tabs. Yep. So we will be having this quiz. This is to test if you have listened or at least checked the presentations from Joyce, from Ron, and from Mike earlier. The winner for this game or this quiz will be the ones to have receive or the ones to receive the training vouchers from MuleSoft. Any kind of voucher, any training, including the architecture that I think is the most expensive ones. So before we start, I think let's see if before we start, let's have everybody please join first before we start. Also, I forgot to mention that before we start, um, for the winners, kindly stay in the meetup room for the so we can hand out your prizes or we contact you. Okay. So we have I think 145 people. I'm not sure if everyone will be participating in the game. We have currently 79 participants. I will not be attending, and including the what do you call this the presenters will not be joining the game. This is a 21 question quiz. So I think you better took notes earlier. Are you guys ready? I think we're good. I have 88. Okay, I think let's start. We have an 88. Oh, I think someone's joining. Okay, I think. Mhm. Mhm. Also, I will be presenting the results live here. So I will try to commentate, but I will not be showing the answers, unfortunately. Wait, I think let's start. Good luck. So we have AJ on the lead. We have Teng Boy Don, David Corpus, Angelo Sandaga, Vince Bernabe, looking great. David Corpus on a hot streak. Vince Bernabe is also in a hot streak. Alec Asuncion coming up fourth. Sorry, I forgot to mention also that we can only give out 3 winners for I think, the top 3 scorers here in the quiz. Oh, okay. Angelo Sandaga out. So we have Ravi coming up to second place. And I'm not sure if I can pronounce his name correct. Srivani Divya. Jared Nartates coming up second with a hot streak of 5 questions answered correctly. Leia Resurrection. Okay. Guards Ladines coming up top. And Mary Joy Sabal on the first place. I'm not sure if how to pronounce his name. It's Shiv Kumar Patil coming up. Oh, it took Vince. Let's check if you can see. Not sure if I can reveal the questions yet. Aloma Pereira coming up 4 questions answered correctly. Again, Aloma Pereira coming up top with guards closely at the second place and David Corpus at the third. Oh, we have a newcomer, TJ Villarreal, on second place. Chat. David Corpus, Aloma, and Alec, top 3. Patrick Scosa on coming from the back Okay. With 9 questions answered correctly. Okay. Angela Sandaga coming from the back. 7 questions answered correctly in sequence. I'm not sure if the questions are hard. I think it's pretty hard since from the right side, the red bar is filling up. It's the errors that we have committed in the quiz. Clint Palanca coming up from the bottom 5. Arthur. Okay, also number 3. Oh, Patrick Chua has answered 8 questions simultaneously. I think correctly. From the number 3rd. Oh, is that now number 1? Nice. I think we still have at least a few people to be done.
Wala. Kayo pang 90. Ito ako sa bottom.
So we have at least 40, 30 people need to answer the quiz or at least get done with the quiz. I think the music is a little groovy. Now to the last 20 people to get done with the quiz. Fifteen people left. Oh, from the back, Greg Serrano. Last 10 people. Come on. Also, last 2 minutes before we preemptively end the game.
Yeah, maybe we can get a glimpse of which one was the trickiest question.
Yep. You can probably reveal the trickiest question early here in this tab. Whoa, 98 incorrect. Think okay. So we have 8. Oh, 6 persons need to get done with the quiz. 5. Sorry, correction. So 5 remaining people to answer the quiz. Also, I forgot to mention earlier also that the questions were provided by the presenters. So you can probably ask Ron, Joyce, and Mike regarding the questions. Joyce, are you there? Since there are at least, I think there are 4 people remaining answering this quiz. What is the correct answer for number 1?
The deployment manager.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as Anypoint deployment manager.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a very tricky name since it has also already in the name. 4 people remaining to answer the. I think we have our winners. We can probably safely declare Arthur, Patrick, and Angelo are as our winners, unless the 4 remaining people are super science or what Superman. Not sure. Super intelligent.
Yeah, or maybe they started late.
Yep,
I'm
they
not
can
sure.
probably start me. I'll check if we can see. Oh, there are plenty of people answering, still answering. Is it okay to reveal your scores, guys?
Okay, reveal your scores,
Or
guys,
or do you want me to
or
hide it?
or do you want me to hide it?
Can we show those?
Sorry. Try refreshing the Superman.
Superman.
Okay. The last 4 remaining. Patrick Chu has done extensively well. It's 9 questions correctly answered out of 21. That's quite an effort. That's quite a feat, actually.
Are we still waiting for 4 more?
Yes, I think last 1 minute.
Yep.
Not sure if we can hold out for the last. Or is it safe to say that we have already our winners? Chris, Brian, and Neil, sorry.
Probably let's give them 1 minute.
Yep.
Yeah, so somebody asked like about the API notebook. So I don't think we could deploy using API notebook. So there's a question like what is not used to deploy to Cloud Hub?
Mm. So this one is a okay. Oh, this is a tricky
Okay,
question.
so Anypoint notebook and deployment manager are both incorrect.
Yep. So I think that should be counted. Sorry, so
Yeah,
this should be accounted. Yep. Okay.
true.
I think
Oh yeah, sorry about that one.
I think Ryan, we already have our set of winners. I think it's 1 minute has already passed. Is it safe to assume that the four persons are
Yeah,
winning?
yeah,
Yes, I
it's
think these
already
are
one
safe.
minute. Yep.
Yep. I'll screen capture this, guys. So Arthur, Patrick, and Angelo, can I kindly request you guys to stay on the Hangouts meet so we can present you or at least contact you for your prize.
All right. Congrats, Arthur, Patrick, and Angelo.
I can probably capture this and the game. So we have our winners, Angelo, Patrick, and Arthur. Chris, I will be going back giving back the control to you. Stop presenting.
All right. And Janice, hope you guys have enjoyed our little game. So let me just show my screen once again. All right, so congratulations again to our top 3 winners. So if you guys haven't joined our little Facebook group, please join to facebook.com/groups/MulePH if you'd like to hear about announcements, what is new, and if you would like to network with fellow Muleys. So again, I just
By the
want
way,
to
Chris,
thank you guys for attending this very first virtual meetup. So again, thank you. Yep. Sorry.
Chris, can we have one more picture? Is
What
it
was that
okay to
again?
everyone? Can we have one more picture
Were you saying
before
anything,
we
Ryan?
end? Can we have one more picture before we end the presentation?
Yep. Stop my presentation.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Group picture.
Yep. My camera's on.
Are you able to get a picture, Ryan?
All good. Thanks, Chris.
All right. We will see you soon. Cheers.
Yes, guys. Keep safe.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Yeah.
Keep safe, stay healthy.
Thanks, everyone. See you on the next meetup,
Thank you.
everyone. See
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy,
you.
guys.
Safe, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Shoutout
Thank
po sa mga
you.
katim ko dyan sa DXC.
Thanks, guys.
Bumati ka pa, Vince.
Shoutout po sa mga kadati kong katim.
Thank you, thank you.
Special Almotel.
Thanks, thanks. Sup, Vince? Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Stay safe.
Thanks, guys.
Great work, guys.
Louis. Louie, kamusta? Saan ka pa?